Welcome back. As we move forward in time, what happened during Abraham Lincoln's presidency? Early on in his administration, and instigated by monarchy agents out of Europe, a rift was accentuated between the northern and southern US. With that, another variation of the same old bankers' wars was created. In order to get money to fight that war, Lincoln needed loans from the European banks that held monarchy money, the bloodline families' money. Those 13 bloodline families were represented in the colonies that had to pursue funds to fight this war against the South. But the bankers wanted 24% to 36% interest, so Lincoln declined that extortion and used his presidential powers to issue interest-free money, having no indebtedness to foreign bankers. This currency was based on the good faith and credit of the American people and their government. It was not backed with silver or gold, but worked for all debts, whether public with government entities or private individuals and their businesses. With green printing on the back, that money Lincoln issued became known as greenbacks, which is where we get that same term used today. One of the interesting things about those greenbacks is that they were hated by the foreign banks. In fact, I want to give you part of an article from the London Times that came out after President Lincoln issued that America-owned currency. If that mischievous financial policy, which had its origins in the North American Republic, should become indurated, established, down to a fixture, then that government will furnish its own money without cost. It will pay off debts and be without debt. It will have all the money necessary to carry on its commerce. It will become prosperous beyond precedent in the history of the civilized governments of the world. The brains and the wealth of all countries will go to North America. That government must be destroyed, or it will destroy every monarchy on the globe. The bankers obviously got it. Those 13 royal bloodline families, of which the Rothschilds sit at the head of the table there in the city of London, understood that the only real threats to their power are sovereign governments like ours that are able to print their interest-free and debt-free paper money. Those bankers knew it would break their power over people in the US and then spread to the rest of the world. Think about what Lincoln did there, after which he also fought the Civil War and won. A decade after that war ended, greenbacks had become worth as much as gold and had even been moving higher. So today, people are wondering how well we're going to do as a country. As I gave this presentation on Patriot Productions' social media channel on April 15th of 2020, not many noticed what happened with the financial institutions during this recent CO Video 19 event. President T moved the private banking cartel's Federal Reserve back under U.S. Treasury authority, where the Secretary of the Treasury, Steve Mnuchin, is answerable only to the President of the United States. Let's think about that. You remember those bankers in Lincoln's time when he started our own currency? They felt they had to come back at him. They needed to get him as payback and retaliation for daring to print our own currency and not pay them interest. And in the big picture, understand this: the only place on our planet where the Queen of England or whatever reigning monarch is on the throne in England has to annually present him or herself in front of and bow or curtsy to is the mayor of the city of London. Why? It's because of the power behind the throne, which is the real money behind all the royal bloodline families. It's these people that consider themselves to be descendants of the biblical Cain, who was the firstborn of mankind and its first murderer. They are these kings who presume to rule by what they feel is their blood right. These people who get their power by working as a team to control all the governments of the world by domination of the planet's money. And it's all done out of the city of London. Annually, the Queen of England has to present herself to the mayor of the city of London and does so with her shoes off. She curtsies she curtsies and defers to that mayor's authority, which comes from the bankers. And it's because that mayor runs a city state, the city of London, city states of the Vatican, and Washington, D.C. During the Kennedy administration, President Kennedy had a similar situation. He also realized what was going on with these people. So he set out to create our own currency that would again be interest free money. Remember this very telling admission from Mayor Amschel Rothschild, who says, "Permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws." Page 6, page 7. When Kennedy came into office, he was fighting these monsters who were really destroying the United States. They created wars and pushed us into all kinds of other efforts we didn't want to take on. And that's because they have always manipulated us in their pursuit of making money from us, constantly keeping us in whatever battles they'd like, using our citizens and the American military against other lands. They instigate and push wars all over the planet with use of Americans and our military might, as if we are a branch office of their Secret Service spy agencies around the world. After the Bay of Pigs and various other events that President Kennedy either dealt with or witnessed, he came up with a solution. On June 4th of 1963, he signed Executive Order 11110, which is an interesting number because World War I ended in the 11th month on the 11th day and at the 11th hour of the day. That is precisely when those in control stopped the war. Why? It's because of the numerology 111111 is symbolic for them. President Kennedy, being knowledgeable about their codes and numbers, sent them a little coded message with 11s. It said, "Hey, we're going to stop your wars." It was Kennedy's answer to World War I and World War II, as well as a message for those trying to get us into a World War III. And running our country's finances That executive order gave President Kennedy the legal authority to create money that was interest and debt free, currency belonging only to the American people. It was just what Lincoln had done with his greenbacks. Kennedy had these notes printed, blatantly ignoring the Federal Reserve notes from the private banks. Even today, many Americans don't understand that the Federal Reserve and the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, are no more federal than Federal Express. They are administered by federal employees, but as the US courts have shown, the IRS is a Puerto Rican corporation. And of course, there is nothing in the Federal Registry identifying an income tax, which is because it's voluntary. Each year, we Americans voluntarily assess for ourselves a certain amount we supposedly owe. Of course, at the end of the day, it's enforced using the statutes regarding liquor, tobacco, and firearms, just as though it is a mandatory tax. And the courts, as well as the rest of our legal system, have gone along with it. In fact, months before 9/11 happened in 2001, Congress had scheduled hearings for October of 2001 to look into the legality of the IRS. Hi, Angel. And the way laws surrounding it have been enforced. But those hearings never happened because of 9/11. So, repeatedly over time, we've had incidents occur that changed the course of the country. And April seems to be an appealing month for their events. They kind of enjoy making these things happen in April. Why is that? Well, most of us probably don't realize that the Gregorian Julian and other calendars that have been put forth over time for us to use are not the same calendar used by those people we are engaged against. These royal and banking families actually go by the Babylonian calendar. And with that, by their marking of time, the beginning of the new millennium for this Babylonian group, a 1,000-year period of the new world they want to see created, occurred in the spring of 2012. We're just ending the 7th year and beginning the 8th of the new millennium for these Babylonians, and 8 is their number of the new day. It's the number of Horus, or the rising sun, having to do with the pagan festival of Ishtar, Easter. To them, 2020 is just beginning year 8, the new day. And they wanted to get it off to a good start. Stay tuned.